working, our captioning, signing, people can hear, they can see. Everything okay? Good, no complaints, anyone? All good? You can hear okay then, the microphone's working for people? All right, very good. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Gary Malkowski, and I'm a special advisor to the president of the Canadian Hearing Society. And my boss, is Chris Konopik, is actually here watching. If you would just stand up briefly. This is Chris right here. As well, Kevin Lee, the executive director for the Scatting Court. A wonderful, wonderful fella who is really the focus and how we got this idea really unfolded. So we really wanted to say hello to him as well. We wanted to recognize Sam, right back here. Who's Sam, who did a great job organizing behind the scenes for this. Also, we'd like to recognize 6 important organizations that sponsored this, including the Arch Legal System, Arch Disability Law Center, the Scatting Court Community Center, the Schizophrenia Society of Ontario, Poran Law, and the Canadian Hearing Society. We'd like to thank the 6 organizations who made this event possible and who organized it in partnership. It is very important as well to listen to our mayoral candidates. And we want to see this as being a consumer-driven opportunity. So we want to have those 5 candidates can listen to us as Torontonians and our issues that are pertinent to the disability community and to our lives, making sure that our votes do make a difference and that we model excellence as we look to our future mayor here in Toronto. So what I'd like to do now, it is my pleasure to start first by introducing Chris Little, who will just do some technical business and housekeeping. So I'll ask Chris to step forward if you would.
Hello. I'm just going to give you some brief housekeeping tips. We have 6 attendants planted around the room. Can you please make yourselves known? They're wearing the reverse basketball team shirts. So please wave, put your hands up. These are the people here who will be attending to a prayer meeting. So if you need anything, just put your hands up and they'll see to it. Also, if you can try and stay off the walls, we have deliveries coming in and going out throughout the day. So if you can try and make some space for them coming in and leaving, that'd be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris, for that. I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker this morning. This is Helen Henderson, and Helen has been involved in the field for 30 years, writing for the Toronto Star. She's also a student at Ryerson University, looking at disability issues. Her background is really amazing and has done made great contributions through her writing and research. She used to write initially in the business area for oil and gas, and has now been involved in writing on disability issues and is a very popular columnist worldwide. So we're really happy to have her here, and it's my pleasure to introduce Helen Henderson.
Thanks, Gary, and thanks everybody for coming out. It's great to see so many people. And I know a lot of people in this room. I know it's a room full of talent and energy. It's a room full of people with ideas. A room full of people who know that a world-class city does have the wherewithal to address marginalization and exclusion. It's about finding the will, the social will and the political will to address the issues. I'm not going to make a long speech because I know it's really the candidates that you want to hear from. There's a number of specific issues that we're going to address. But before handing things over to our moderator, Ingwa Ward, I just want to make a few points about inclusion. Inclusion starts from the beginning. It starts from the planning stages, drawing on input from diverse communities right at the start. The best way to promote access is to have no barriers in the first place. And the way you have no barriers in the first place is you listen to people. If you're planning a housing project or a transportation project or a recreation program, and you say, yes, we want to include children and adults who move or communicate or process information differently from the majority, then you invite children and adults who process information and communicate and move differently to give their ideas right at the beginning. Because trust me, they'll come out with ideas and solutions from a totally new and fresh perspective, and things will work. I want to also say that inclusion is about much more than mobility. It's about attitudes and learning and communicating. It's about ditching the old wheelchair stereotype that we have and paying attention to people who have experienced a whole range of different perspectives, mentally, developmentally, intellectually, and physically. Inclusion is by its very nature a broad-based thing. Diversity includes people of all different cultures and abilities. It includes people who have experienced altered states, people who battle different types of demons, people who use something other than speech to communicate, people who perceive the world in many different ways. Inclusion means working together. The best ideas for accommodating all variety of needs come from the people who take these needs into account every moment and every day of their lives. And inclusion pays dividends. It gives our city priceless social capital, the capital that comes from learning to live together in harmony, banking strong communities' assets. It counts as assets people of all backgrounds and abilities, banking the diverse talents necessary to sustain future generations who treat each other with respect. Inclusion is about trying. It's about taking the trouble. And if you think that disability issues are not worth taking the trouble about, let me leave you with a couple of quick thoughts. 20 years ago, when George H.W. Bush won the U.S. presidency, a National Harris poll concluded that one of the major reasons for his victory was his campaign in favor of the Americans with Disability Act. He was elected in 1989. He brought the act in 1990. People with disabilities average, in general, about 15% of the population across the country. In Toronto, it's probably even higher because we have some very superior medical facilities here. So think about that, 15%, they've got families, they've got friends. You're looking at 30% who care deeply about these issues. So it's time to address it. It is time to get the political will moving. We can make this an inclusive city. Now I'm going to hand it over to Yvonne Ward, and we're going to get into specific issues and questions, and it's all yours. Thanks for coming.
Again, thank you, Hannah, for your comments. I'd like now to introduce Yvonne Ward. And Ing has been working for 15 plus years with CBC Radio and Television. She's a graduate of Ryerson University. It's made incredible contributions to a variety of media around disability issues. She is one of the most popular people in our community. She's worked on a variety of shows, including Midday and The National. She has a very lengthy bio, but I will leave her to take the floor now and moderate time with our mayoral candidates. So, welcome in.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. Now, in a month's time, all of us will head to the polls to vote for a new mayor and council. Today, we have a unique opportunity to hear from the top 5 contenders in the mayoral race to find out where issues around disability fit into their current priorities. Now, before I begin our discussion, I'd like to thank each of the candidates for taking time out of your busy schedules today to join us. The campaign to become mayor is a long one. We've had many debates over the past several weeks, and there are obviously many more to go. In fact, I believe we have one tonight. However, today's discussion is important on a number of fronts. It's widely acknowledged and recognized that our city is one of the most diverse in the world. According to official stats, over half of the citizens in Toronto were born elsewhere. Our diversity is seen as one of our greatest strengths. Which is why, when it comes to looking at our city's diversity, we must acknowledge the community of people who are disabled. As Helen pointed out, according to Stats Canada, an estimated 15% of the population has some kind of disability. That figure is expected to climb as the population ages. We're here today to find out how each one of you, if elected Toronto's next mayor, will address issues of concern to people with disabilities. These issues are not just specific to people with disabilities. All of us who live with a disability also have friends and family who are non-disabled. In other words, these issues affect everyone in this city. So, this is how the next 2 hours will unfold. Each candidate will begin by telling us a little bit about themselves. I will then ask each of you the same key questions, to be fair, although I should say that I reserve the right to follow up to help clarify any points. We will then open the floor to the audience to give you an opportunity to directly ask questions to the candidates. I'll remind you of this again when the time comes, but please keep your questions brief to allow as many people as possible access to the floor. Now, my understanding is that the candidates will be appearing on a random basis. There's no favoritism. Their names are drawn out of a hat. So they're coming up one at a time based on somebody drawing their name out of the hat.